Wearing a condom with lots of holes in the condom is how I feel about United right now. Immediately, you're thinking it gives you peace of mind, at least. It's better than nothing, right? I'm wearing a condom. Yes, it's got holes in, but it just might be okay. But the reality is, in the long run, it's going to end up in a disaster full of consequences. Game day. United against Burnley. I'm in Boracay, Philippines. I'm about to go into TGH Sports Bar to catch the game after the Chelsea match. Now look, there's no doubt that the attack has improved, which you would expect after all the new signings. However, when you look at the defence, it's the same issues. Every video I'm doing, I'm breaking down the goals conceded, which is from wide areas. It's from crosses. And guess what? Burnley's first goal again came from what? A cross. We're still not following basic defensive principles of putting pressure on the opposition ball carrier, of delaying them, to give us time to organise shape and defence and then defending. They scored from a cross yet again. So that's now a consistent pattern where it's happened against Fulham, it happened twice against Grimsby, and now it's happened again. It needs to get sorted. Also, yes, we had almost 30 shots, but look at the ratio, what was on target. I haven't got my laptop, obviously, today, because I'm in the Philippines, but when you look at the amount what was on target, the ratio is very low, I believe around 6 or 7 shots on target, after 24 to 25 shots in total. Not ideal. And you go, yeah, but the attacking's improved so much. It is true. But again, the first goal was an own goal, and I'm not being pessimistic. This is great. 3 points is 3 points. First goal was an own goal, and then the third goal was a penalty. And finally, the second goal, it was in open play. But the same old cracks, using a condom with holes, allergy is still in play, okay? Look, 3 points in the professional game is 3 points, and it's all about winning. Winning gives you time. If we go through all the season picking up points, winning, great. We're getting to Champions League, amazing. I'm happy because I'm a big advocate for you're playing the professional game to win. That's it, end of story. However, when you want your team or your club to do well long term, and you're not the coach of a team, it's about building for the future, but you've got to try and get that balance. You need to try and win, but also be developing the squad to get some kind of balance for the future seasons as well. Now, getting on to the point of Bruno. So Bruno Fernandes, yet again, scored top of most of the stats, whether it's assists, whether it's chances created. You can't deny that he's doing amazing. However, yes, last season and previous season, you needed him to be this player, what was carrying us through, getting points here and there. But now, we want more of a workload to be more team-orientated. So there is an argument, no doubt, he's been amazing, but there is an argument he is still unbalancing the dynamics of the team by potentially trying to do everything instead of building around the whole team. We don't actually know, because when you look at the stats and when you see his performance, it's great. He's doing a job what we need sometimes to pull us out the shit. However, I just think longer term, getting on into his 30s now and looking at the new signings what we brought in, we're already looking good for attacking, especially Mason Mount's pinging balls with the outside of his foot like he has been, okay? If a bigger offer comes in for Bruno, maybe in the second half of the season, business-wise and playing-wise on the pitch, it may be a good time to take that money and strengthen the squad. Yes, we need a goalkeeper as I'm speaking. Hopefully we get the lad from Villa coming in, and now in a swift turn of events, they're getting the Belgium keeper. Possibly. And I'm not even going to try and pronounce names because I'm a little bit hazy from a few beers yesterday. So, look, there's so many negatives go on, especially Amarim's kind of, I don't know if he's trying to be Mourinho-esque or quirky, but his kind of behaviour is what I would do as an immature and underpaid and lower level coach at my level in post-match interviews. And his behaviour isn't what you need from your magnificent leader to give trust to you as a player, but also as a supporter and as other coaching staff. Also, managers are going to be looking at it and thinking, look, we can get under his skin here. So he needs to do better in that aspect. But has he already passed that line? He's already shown his weaknesses. And look, I'm all for giving coaches a chance, building with a coach, but I still don't believe, I don't care what anyone says, being a coach myself, the system won't work because we haven't got the players to work in that system to the level he needs and we need. It's not to say it can't happen in the future, but will he be given time in the future? Possibly not. You can only make the system work, and everyone will say, "Oh yeah, but Palace do all right sometimes with 3 at back, or Brentford sometimes, or whatever." It doesn't matter how many league titles have they won. The only team to win a league title, I'm not including Manchester City because they would shuffle around the system and the shape during the game, and sometimes just have 2 defenders at the back, depending on possession, or a defender going into midfield with John Stones. The only team to do that was Chelsea, who won a league title in 2016, 2017, and they had, you could say, the perfect team for that system. With the defence, what they had, the 2 holding midfielders in Kante and Matic. The defence, I believe they had Cahill, they had Luiz, and they had Azpilicueta. I always get his name wrong. So they had that, and then they had Fabregas in midfield as well. And then the striker at that time, did they have Diego Costa for a little bit? I believe so. They had Moses, what adapted his game to be a wing back. And on the other side, it was Alonso. And they had a solid goalkeeper. A near perfect team to win the Premier League, which they did in that system. And right now, United are far from that. And yes, it's not going to happen in just 1 or 2 transfer windows. It could take 2 years, literally longer, if we're going to stick to that system without getting relegated. Little bit joking there. And it's all about being given time, because right now, after the Grimsby result, even after the Fulham, even after the Burnley match, he's not going to get that time, and he may not even give himself that time. I'm a little bit unsure what's going on with Sesko, if he's injured or still got a bit of cramp, but the pressure's building on his integration, which is getting too long. He needs to get that goal, just like your Krez. Got a massive mosquito bite on my chest. And I just worry that his confidence is going to be shot the longer he goes out with getting a goal. Xerxes came on. He had the most shots, and he actually came on as a sub. He had the most shots. I think he had 7 shots just by himself. But again, Sesko's impact wasn't clearly there in stats or to the human eye. That's a worry. I believe Højlund's going to go on to Napoli and score probably back 15 to 18 goals. It's likely going to happen. And to end on, yes, it's 3 points. And look, if we can keep getting the 3 points, great. However, yes, for next match against City and then Liverpool are going to be really, really interesting. And we may even do better against these 2, just like Arsenal, than we did against Fulham and Burnley. We're going to have to wait and see. But hey, positives are there being built. However, the negatives are still outshining the positives, and they're not being corrected. The basic defensive principles.